In a world racing toward the future, how do we stay rooted in what it means to be human? This question leads us to today's conversation. Peace, everybody. My name is Tiago Soul. Welcome back to the This Is Our podcast. Before we dive into today's conversation, let's take a moment to reflect on the world we live in. As a society, we lost our balance with nature. Algorithms pull us into emotional and ideological chaos. And we find ourselves seeking validation in fleeting pleasures, social media, consumer culture, pharmaceuticals, fast foods, and an increasing desire for lust over love. All of this leaving our bodies and spirits depleted. This disconnection of mind, body, and spirit is at the root of the chaos we see today. And yet, amidst this disorder, technology races forward at an unprecedented pace. To thrive in this new era, we must adapt, not just technologically, but biologically and spiritually. This requires a conscious effort to embrace healing, resilience, and practices that reconnect us to the wisdom within and around us. That's why I'm honored to welcome today's guest, a talented artist, an innovative scientist, a disciplined athlete, and most importantly, my good brother. He is a visionary in the realms of holistic health, herbalism, and spirituality. Through his deep connection to ancient wisdom and alchemical practices, he's crafting a revolutionary approach to healing, blending the science of herbal medicine with the art of spiritual transformation. But his talents extend far beyond holistic health and wellness. As an athlete, he has spent a great amount of time honing his body and mind through the discipline of boxing. For him, it's not just about physical strength. It's about mental fortitude, resilience, and the ability to transform pain into power. It's a living testament to the alchemical process of turning struggle into strength. As a musician and artistic producer, he channels his creativity to craft music that resonates deeply with the human experience. His work spans genres from the rhythmic energy of rap to the soothing ambiance that puts listeners in an immediate state of relaxation. Blending innovation and intuition, he creates sounds that inspire, heal, and challenge us to see the world in new ways. For him, music is both a form of self-expression and a tool for transformation, connecting people to their emotions, truths, and each other. With all that said, I am truly grateful and honored to welcome today's guest, Flower Cap. Thank you for joining me today to share your journey and insights with our community.
Thanks for having me, brother.
Of course, bro. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. You did that. I was so happy I got to read that because I was like, damn, we started. And I'm like, the intro is fine. Yeah, that's something I want to do. This is art. This is art, literally. Something like I've been working on is trying to like just make this better, you know. And I feel like having an introducing people in that way, creating that space, because it's really creating like a portal in time for just like let's explore the world and let's share that. Let's see if we find anything cool and we can bring it back to the village, which is just the world. The internet is just a ecosystem. And so let's go explore and fucking bring some shit back. Like literally. So yeah.
Let's bring some shit back.
Yo, peace everybody. It's Tiago. It's been a while, but we back. And better than ever, for real. So, welcome to episode 4. This is with brother CJ, Flower Cap, Dirk Wood. This is a good brother. And this is a intelligent brother. So, you will learn a lot in this episode, you know, from our conversations about herbs, alchemy, different spiritual understandings about how reality works. And I started off this video actually smoking a joint. Now, where I'm at with myself, I've definitely gotten to the point within my knowing to where smoking weed no longer has any real service to me. And I really do believe it's a plant, it's a guide. Well, of course it's a plant, but it's a guide in the form of a plant to bring us to a certain level of consciousness, or at least to open the doorway to perceive things differently. And then once you can integrate the understanding of the importance of creative and free thinking, which is what I feel and what I've learned from the plant, once you can integrate that into your sober state, then you no longer need the plant. And it's been a few months since I've recorded the podcast, so I do commune with that plant intentionally. I pray, and I do believe that any time when consecrating, communing with a external substance that alters your perception of reality, it is important to set those intentions. Now, that's just a disclaimer that I felt I wanted to put out there so that people don't see that as an unconscious participation, but rather something that you should, and I want to promote critical thinking about every choice that you make. So enjoy the rest of your podcast, rest of the podcast, and that's it. Enjoy.
Plants have like a vital force, yeah. So, like they'll move in your body. Certain plants, for example, like skullcap, the vital force. A lot of bitter plants, it's bitter. They move down, and this one herbalist who I listen to talk about skullcap says it feels like a cat is down on your head. That's the best way to describe it. You'll feel it move down, and especially bitters that are providing, helps out your gut to digest food and stuff. You'll feel the vital force move down in it. Other plants like cannabis is very connected to the ethers.
Right.
So
does that make this life force move up?
It can make it move upwards, yeah. But cannabis is very like all plants act differently on people's body too, where they're gonna move energy in your body. You have cannabis a lot, it just like runs throughout my body. That cannabis is like it's like a two-way street. It's energy coming down, but also going up. But then going everywhere in my body and trying to like come out my hands, come out my legs. Yeah, it's like where do I go? Should I stay here? Should I stay there? Should I be up? Should I be down? Because it is a hot plant too. It's like hot and dry. So
definitely, that's what I'm excited for the tea.
Well, I was saying that.
Yeah, and I feel like the tea would balance it.
Yeah, because this tea is like balanced. It's quite balanced, like uplifting and grounding and warm.
So what's in this tea?
It's 7 different herbs.
For each chakra?
Yeah, those different correlations. So wood betony,
I like betony.
Cinnamon, fennel, sage, lavender, holy basil, and cloying. Not in the specific.
That was 7
chakras. Yeah.
Like 7.
Yeah, like wood betony, root.
Do you feel like it does balance out each chakra?
Yeah. A lot of people have said to me that I don't drink it too often. I do drink when people here. Sometimes I drink it by myself. But I'm taking intentional to it. I'm drinking it like every day, anything, by any means.
Yeah, that's such you live so in tune with herbs and shit. That's crazy.
I'm not the only one that said though. It's like uplifting and also grounded. People have said that to me, and where I've understood it, because when I was formulating like a 7 chakra blend, I created a bunch of different formulations. Ones that were more like cooling in nature. This one's a little more warming. I wouldn't say it's heating, warming.
And what is cooling, warming, heating, colding? What does that mean for like someone experiencing?
It's influencing temperature dynamics, like in your body, in your organ systems, and even like from emotional standpoint too.
So would heating kind of make it like things move faster, and colding like relax?
Yeah, well, yeah, in a way, yeah. Cold kind of leads to like a damp relaxation tissue state. Heating or heat excitation But like if you think of something warming, like and relaxing, you know, it's that dilate the blood vessels, with circulation.
That's definitely warming.
Yeah, but it's drying too. So for some people, it could be warm, but also restrict blood flow. You create tension in the body while also being warm.
So the two at once type of thing.
So there's a polarity too. You know, like you see certain people gravitate I do have like a hot temperament in the sense of like my spirit is more like fiery, like passionate about things. I've had like cold digestion though and stuff. But that,
what does that look like?
Oh, that can just produce like toxic waste, like metabolic stagnation. The digestion is like a pit of fire.
I'm excited to get into this convo. You think you have it too. I can wait. I'm like stretching crazy. Yes. You know, always have use that smell. Do you experience it?
Well, my body would get sometimes very tense or tight. And it's funny. It's even if I'm like, comfortable with the person, my body would a lot of the time would become uncomfortable.
Yeah, mine's kind of not that. My body is like so uncomfortable, and that allows me to stretch deeper. Like I just had so many cracks that when I do those stretches normally, I don't get to be as loose, and so it allows me to release more. I feel like I just release so much shit. And it feels good. That's why it can be a medicine, but again, very intentional. Thank you for this. Cheers. Cheers.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You want to put it down too, just put it to the side, be over there. Put a little bit of salt in it too.
Fire. Stay hydrated. Himalayan.
What?
Himalayan.
No, I have
the special.
The special.
What is that? The special salt.
It's technically a salt we're going to be using for our electrolytes, and it technically qualifies as organic salt. Yeah, it's geothermal harvested salt.
Geothermal harvest. What does that mean? Nah.
Yeah, I could tell you what I mean. I have to look back at right now. There's just public info on it.
They be making this shit up.
Geothermal harvested salt.
Yeah, that just goes to show how far technology and science have gone. It's like, who are we to make these concepts,
Yeah.
And then sell them. Apparently that's what we do with everything, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's something that's said about herbal medicine. You're not capitalists of the forest. And something I see as an herbalist too is like I talk about how plants get hyped up and something's like said to be an cancer plant, the way it's produced, the preparation is functioning that way. But people use a lot of endangered people use a lot of endangered plants and unsustainable plants recklessly because of different fads.
What do you think about sea moss?
Sea moss is by no means endangered or...
Oh, no. I was just thinking as a plant. Or as a herbal kind of item.
Sea moss, I have no issue with sea moss. It's rich in a lot of different minerals. It's an interesting thing about sea moss, too, is in Ireland during like the famine back in the day, they were into potatoes, right? Or were they short on potatoes?
I think they
just had the potatoes, right?
Something about potatoes.
But all I know is they had the famine, and one of the things they were eating though was sea moss.
Really?
So the real sea moss is Irish moss.
Okay.
And A big medicinal application for actually Irish moss is respiratory issues. Stuck mucus. Anything that's gel-like can actually expel mucus.
Even though it is like mucus.
Yeah. But so the way to work with it too is to use something a little stimulating too.
Yeah.
So like a little bit of cayenne pepper that can stimulate it up and out. Some clove, perhaps, working on the upper respiratory tract, some mullein, relaxing the lungs, and bringing up the mucus with sea moss.
It's crazy that
the power food, though.
Yeah,
it's a power food. That's what I call it.
True. Everything has a cause and effect. That's actually one of the Hermetic principles. I was listening to this YouTube video before I came here. It was like 15 minutes because I'm like, what are the alchemic laws? Because I wanted to touch upon alchemy and that whole concept. And one of them was cause and effect. And that's basically kind of tying into this other law, which is vibration, which is everything is always in motion and vibrating. And then cause and effect is kind of like karma, right? So it's kind of like actions throughout time create cause and effect. It's the saying everything is like you reap what you sow. And then that's what the food is. All of that is just energy kind of creating cause and effect in this world and ocean of energy.
Yeah.
That's
all holds vibration, the food, vibration. Yeah. I'm thinking about sea moss now.
Oh yeah. And
I think it's a fad though. I don't think sea moss. I mean, it's become popularized.
It's become popularized by Dr. Sid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I mean, there's good and bad sea moss. So there's there's farmed sea moss in the way that there's farmed wild Alaskan salmon. So now there's farmed sea moss that is not real sea moss.
Yeah. So it probably doesn't give you benefits. And then that's probably very similar to how a lot of the fruits and stuff that we eat nowadays doesn't have the same nutrition profile.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thing. Because of the soil depletion, and it's also growing things in one crop field, so where it's just, let's say, corn in one field. There isn't enough amount of other plants and organisms in that field creating an ecosystem for nutrients to move around more freely, right? Because the same way diversity is good for humans to be around different ideas and stuff like that, it's the same thing for microbes.
Yeah.
That literally creates evolution, that creates harmony, and that also happens in the gut with the different amount of foods that we eat. By eating a bunch of diverse amount of foods, we're creating a nice little ecosystem in our gut, and that goes into one of the other laws in alchemy, which is the law of correspondence, or the Hermetic principles. And the law of correspondence is that saying, as above, so below, as within, so without.
Yeah.
And it's as above our world, this human body, is the same as below the microbes that live on our human body. Yeah. And then as above the stars and everything like that, we all operate the same way. So if we can understand how the smaller world works and look at things like our health, our biology, and understand how all of these different things play into that health, the inner world, the physical world, then we can understand even the mental world. And how, because that's another thing, bro. That's a presentation of the mind as well. And you were talking about inflammation and then how that's also correlated to something.
It's an intelligent vital response to the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it inflammation?
Inflammation.
Yeah.
Can you explain that again?
So if we didn't have signs of inflammation in the body, how it was just swelling, how would we know? How would we know there's something wrong?
Right.
How do we know that our body is trying to tell us something? It's better that information shows up on the surface than it just sits in our body.
And that's the same thing with just relationships.
Yeah.
You gotta talk about shit otherwise it causes that disconnection
Yeah.
The trauma point, the pain response.
But people, we're all damaged people. And it's important to work towards that, the deeper seated thing and like address them. But sometimes there's deeper suppressed responses that like are influencing our nervous system and stuff like that. And you may communicate something to someone that they'll take it a completely different way because of a deeper seated thing.
Yeah.
That may not even be like, it may be very unconscious. It may just be stored in their body that causes a certain response or reaction. It doesn't show up on the surface. Maybe you can understand it intuitively. Yeah.
It's like not really yet brought to light, brought to your conscious awareness.
I mean, there's a lot of things though, like, going back to like health, for example, and the way I've like been trained and stuff, like, you can tell people have certain imbalances, and we all have mineral deficiencies and imbalances. And a lot of them do show up on the surface nowadays, that stuff, but a lot of us want to ignore it and like actually suppress it a little more because it doesn't correspond to our current values. For example, like no judgment, but a lot of vegans are deficient in so many vitamins and minerals, and you can tell based off a lot of purple or bluish under their eyes, things with nails, hair, very cold. A lot of these people have iron deficiency, anemia. A lot of this stuff is bioavailable. And people don't take into account cultural empiricism and their lineage. Like, I'm a European mutt. No one was vegan way back. Where I was living, we were, like, I was not near the equator and like eating tropical fruit. But it's good that this stuff shows up on the surface, but if it doesn't show up on the surface, that's when like we have to do the work as humans to bring it out. And like art to a lot of and a lot of things we post too. Just on Instagram. A lot of that stuff, what I've realized, and it's like someone recently, a lot of it is like very subconscious of like why we're posting something. Is it directed towards ourselves? Is it directed to someone? Is it from a deeper seated thing? It's like, what is our point of perception of when we're posting something? Is it very unconscious?
Wow. Yes. And that goes into, are people like living like authentically as your own thinker? Right? Are you going with the thoughts of everyone else, this world that's created, what people say things are? Like, if you see someone on TikTok and they're saying their opinion about something, are you looking to the comments and seeing if other people agree? Or are you thinking about it for yourself and be like, and hey, you can look in the comments, take other people's perspectives and be like, then make your decision. It's not about majority, it's about how you feel, what you think, what you know.
I think social media too, in that aspect of like the thinking, it's created I fall into this trap of like looking into so many different philosophies. There's so many different standpoints of like this, that, and we're just portals of now of information. And so it's like, for example, like some people are like, really really resonate with like Ram Dass. And maybe they may resonate with Ram Dass's perspective of like enlightenment without needing psychedelics or stuff like that. But then they also really resonate with Alan Watts or like Terence McKenna. Or maybe it's like the other way around. It's like be here, be now, Ram Dass. Doing so many psychedelics, listening to Alan Watts that you're not even in the present moment anymore. So there's so many like we're exposed to so much and so many different philosophies, especially like in like spiritual communities, to where sometimes it's even harder for people in those communities to think freely. Because we're looking for a lot of information as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I was really sucked into this carpet just now. Like, I was looking at that and I was realizing why this carpet is so good. It's because it's green, color theory. Green creates like a pleasing sense of like just being in nature, you know, it's organic, so you feel good. And then also the patterns on it are like very complex. And these, I was just talking to someone about this, these squares, all of these cuts that are in rooms and buildings and like what our world is built off of, that's actually not a shape that's very commonly seen in nature. And so in our body is like kind of already having this resistance to just being at harmony and being at peace. And so shit like this, where it's more complex and shit, that feels like normal to us. That feels like we can just understand that this world is so much bigger than what all these concepts are. Because this is all like just a concept based off of the piece, you know.
Modernization too. If you look at architecture, just designs. Take the Tesla Cybertruck, for example, and just like everything looks the same. And something I came across, it's like the innovation, like of different things comparatively to it was like from 1990s, like a school bus looks the same, like phones look different, microwaves look different, you know, and they've become more modernized, unique looking. It's just like why certain things have changed, certain things have stayed the same.
Why?
So yeah, I mean, I'm not the ruling class making the calls, calling the shots. But, I think I like it's the disconnect from nature, and certain things like that, like a school bus, like it doesn't matter to people. You know, maybe the education is changing, and I remember you talking about like the education system is inevitably going to have to change with AI developing. Maybe what people are learning is going to be a little different, you know, or not so different, because the goal is for still wanting people to just be employees and not be their own like sovereign creator.
Right. I think it's inevitable going to change. Inevitable. That's just the nature of shit. I feel like we can all intuitively feel the direction of where we're going.
Where we're going within ourselves, or
I think that's just a reflection. It's just a reflection.
And I think people get too concerned of where the world is going rather than where they are going.
Right.
And I think this is where like dimensions come into play and really creating our own reality.
Yeah.
You know, people get so. When we talked about TikTok, how a TikTok ban would like, you know, people become very emotionally reactive because of something external happening,
right?
Rather than redirecting and being like, you know, is this really like, how is this actually influencing me? You know, maybe a lot of small businesses had, you know, would shut down. I understand that perspective.
But it's like, how quick can you just redirect?
Yeah. And create your own reality, you know, and not give something. Yeah, and not give something their power. You know, like people like get so worked up about politics. And then politics is the greatest show in the world.
Crazy, yeah.
Politics is entertainment. It's no different from the NFL.
Oh yeah, no, literally.
Yeah, that's how I view it. But people get so worked up, and they let outcomes create their reality, or like create of how it's going to impact their future, instead of just being like, you know what, I'm going to create my future like regardless of that, and it's going to work.
Right.
And that's really stepping into your power, not letting that. That's what I think it really means to be like a sovereign human being. Yeah. To like be like, this thing does not hold power over me. Right. And if I'm playing into it in any manner, like something aspect deeper down is bothering me about it.
Yeah,
and I feel like it's going to affect me in some way or another, you know?
Yeah, I think also the world is kind of forcing people right now to like, get your sovereignty. Because it's getting more and more, all this stuff is being brought to the surface more. I feel like we're just moving through such a accelerating time to where all this energy is kind of going through a shift. It's like a purge as a collective. It's like, again, if we use that as above, so below thing, it's like when you as a person are going through some sort of like release, you know, whether that be working out and like kind of pushing with one energy, and then you're going to receive like the soreness, or getting rid of a disease in your body, or like the act of throwing up, that's like a purge, or taking a breath in and releasing whatever you need to, that's another purge. It's like all things just kind of go back and forth in the world, and the collective do that in the same way. We're just going through that right now.
It's like the anabolic and it's basically metabolism.
Word.
It's like the anabolic, it's the catabolic state of like release, decay.
Okay.
The anabolic, which is growth and building. So it's the phases of metabolism too, we're seeing happen like at play.
It's so funny.
But I think, you know, people are still gonna always be there has to be that balance of whatever, you know, the shift of people still being like heavily influenced and not like free thinking. I mean, this has always been a lot of people have always asked, like, what's my opinion on this and that, and how do I feel about that? Just a bunch of stuff going on in the world, and I always say, like, because I understand the perspective of like people maybe. Look, I don't know what I don't know, but just people have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. I understand that ignorance is bliss in a way. And I choose not to focus on like conspiracies deeply, because I also think conspiracies, you could fall too deep into that and just being controlled by conspiracy. So not to fall too deeply into being concerned of things I can't control, because
that's it right there.
For example, it's like we all have a voice with social media nowadays, but we're all so divided in our own bubble. Like there's no prophet like Jesus or like Allah or Buddha or Yahweh that's actually like, okay, people, let's get together and see what the real issue is. We're all just still being like, this is my issue about that issue. This is my issue about that issue. You know, we're not collectively compromising.
And then that first comes with compromising with yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. Everybody just gotta focus on themselves, and yeah, like you were saying, like you can't control what you can't control. So control what you can control.
Yeah. So when people ask me what I think about like that, like politics or that war, I only hope for peace, but I'm like, I didn't know that was going on. I didn't know that happened, because, you know, social media nowadays is people's news source.
Right.
My social media, my algorithm is not tailored to like what's going on externally. It's more for me like creating.
That's cool.
And just moving with virtue in my life and being like, okay, like I do understand people have it harder than we have it here in the United States.
I would say for me, it's more so like keeping it balanced, trying to keep a balance between having what I'm seeing be of the world and of my world.
Yeah.
And like I'm always trying to understand, because for example, I have been studying just technologies. That's me being in some way connected to that outer world. Because there's still so many agendas. For example, with AI. Like AI is a technology. And then people have different agendas and ideas and opinions about it. But it's at first a technology. So let me get to know the technology. And that is still a way of being outside, or curious about the external world.
Yeah, no, that curiosity.
That balance between identifying with that world and this world. So that's why my social media page is kind of like both of the world. So I'll see like technology as I can see. I'm interested in like politics.
Yeah.
I'm interested in like what's happening, but I'm just not letting it affect me.
Yeah.
But I'm learning from it. You know?
I agree with that. Yeah, you gotta have that balance because that'll be a scenario too where it's like change in like healthcare and stuff like that, and like agriculture, and so it's still like not letting that affect me, especially with the work I'm doing. Yeah. Like, okay, like I bought an organic mango, you know, it's like, so what? So what?
That's funny.
You know, I'm being like, okay, you know, but
yeah, I saw those mangoes. I saw those real.
It's also pretty like you decide what affects you. Like people, like people drink alcohol, and while they're actually drinking it, they're like, "This is so bad." You know, if I go out to eat, for the most part, I'd rather not want to know what's in the food, what oil they're cooking in. I'll aim to like go to, and especially with what I'm doing, I'll aim to go to the healthiest restaurants or anything. Yeah. But if I'm somewhere and I'm with someone and I'm like, you know what, I've developed this mindset. It's just like, you know what, I'm not gonna.
No, it's
to an extent, you know what I'm saying? Like if you like put like a bowl of like Lucky Charms and just like say like here's a glass of Red 40 and like canola oil, like eat up, I'd be like, yeah, no thanks. But I'll go to a restaurant like
so good.
And like getting a steak and something like that. I'm not gonna be like, oh, like are they cooking with like olive oil, you know, and like where they source it, and like olive oil, like technically, like that's sensitive to heat in this aspect. Like, I'm not going crazy about it because if you are, you're projecting onto that food, you're creating a vibrational, like dissonance, and it's going to affect you adversely. So I mean, it's healthy to think healthily.
Yeah.
To think about things in a healthy manner.
Yeah.
If you drink,
I had to read that in.
Yeah, if you drink alcohol or something like that, don't be like, oh, alcohol is so bad for me. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's things you can do too. Like
it's all about mindset.
Yeah, you can wake up the next morning and be like, I'm healthy as shit, and then just go into a steam sauna.
Yeah.
And that would be good for you after drinking the alcohol.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just. And so it's really just about just being present at the end of the day. Because that's really being with you. Because you can be with the out, or you can be with the in. Of course, you go back and forth, but there's balance. Like, and not attach to either. Because we're not the internal or the external. We're just experiencing it.
Yeah.
So, live in both worlds, because we are both physical and spiritual and mental. So just live in those worlds, but you aren't them.
Your podcast has been interrupted by a visionary's dream. Please hold while we find the correct frequency.
So tell me what's been going on.
I've had a million ideas, but no energy to execute on any of them.
Have you tried meditation?
Every morning, still nothing.
Still nothing?
Nothing.
Mushrooms?
I microdosed last week, but that didn't help me.
Well, it seems like there's only one thing left to try. There's only one thing left to
You wanted to be that, didn't you? I think that should be good.
What do you mean we didn't do last
Frequency has been stabilized. Back to your regular channel.
I want to explore a field of study that I believe was the precursor to modern day science. I believe it's necessary to look back throughout history to understand the path we've walked as a society, to see where we made the wrong turns and correct our direction, so we may exit the state of imbalance we're facing. So to set the foundation for our conversation, I ask you, what is alchemy? And how can we use alchemical principles to address the global disconnection we face today?
What is alchemy? Alchemy is just transmutation on all levels, but I believe alchemy is a specific lost art, where the transmutation involved alchemical processes, and that involves chemistry, that involves creation, and alchemy is an art of patience. Alchemy, in my opinion, to a degree, has become like a bastardized term, but it's become an evolved term, what I realize too, of how we're using the term. Oh, like I'm an alchemist. I don't think anyone is an alchemist in the sense of where the art originated, but you can call yourself an alchemist. Like the real alchemists don't call themselves alchemists. Alchemy's art, like I said, was transmutation on all levels. It's chemistry. It's the creation of substance. And an alchemist way back when, what they were looking to create was essentially the philosopher's stone. So you see that in cinematography, like the Sorcerer's Stone in Harry Potter. That's a reference to the philosopher's stone. And a lot of people don't believe it exists, or it could even be created. I believe it could be created. I believe it's actually a powder form. And it's said that you throw the powder onto base metal and produce gold. And if you ingest it, it'll produce immortality too. That's what it said. And there's a lot of works regarding prominent like alchemists way back when studying it. And this one guy named Nicholas Flamel, who was actually like referenced in Harry Potter too, which is interesting. And he claimed to have, this was in the 1700s, he claimed to have discovered the Philosopher's Stone, and before his death, or not his death, but before he just disappeared, it was said he amassed a vast amount of wealth. Like he just developed this fortune out of nowhere and donated a lot of it and just gave a lot of it away and then just disappeared. So that to me is just like kind of shocking.
That's a story about a guy who just like got a lot of money one day and gave it all away and disappeared.
Yeah, and he said that we found the Philosopher's Stone. And
how do people know about this?
Just through scriptures and writings, because things are passed down word of mouth and things get lost in translation. But to learn the art of alchemy too, a lot of it is image based, it's visual based. The real alchemists may have discovered what alchemy was about, transmutation, and it was based around like surrounding metals and creating fortune, gold and stuff like that. They didn't want people to know how they actually did it too, because it was almost like a collective of like a secret society. And so I have this one book where it's just images, and in the beginning it says, "Don't lose yourself in the images, otherwise like you'll lose yourself of trying to decipher these images too heavily." Yeah, it's
people communicated with images.
They were communicating with images. And they were communicating through nature too.
Through art, bro.
Through art. They were communicating through art.
That's the highest language that the people at the highest level speak.
Yeah. Communicating through art. Crazy. I know. But, I mean, like, so nowadays though, we all undergo chemical processes, via body chemistry and stuff like that. And we're able to create cellular upgrades and stuff like that, and change our body chemistry and alter our DNA.
Epigenetics.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
our thoughts create our gene expression.
Yeah. I mean, that is an alchemical process. That is alchemy. That's a modern day alchemy. But as someone who's actually looked into the Hermetic art and applied it to herbal medicine, so herbal alchemy.
Wow. That's another alchemy.
Yeah, so there's different types of alchemy. I mean, it's, but I would never refer to myself as an alchemist by any means. I think I have alchemical processes, and because I sort of more so think of the Hermetic art of like what it originated as and what it really meant. And a lot of it was derived from all these other religions and like God too. A lot of this stuff was channeled through the original alchemists. And the original alchemists, if any are left, if it's relating to the original translation.
Super old.
Yeah, if it relates to the original translation, a real alchemist is not on social media. They don't call themselves an alchemist. They're living in the middle of the woods.
I don't see why not.
I don't think so.
I don't see why not, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like an alchemist would move with the times and just not be attached to it, but like play in that world.
I do agree that I would like that to see that flexibility of that, and in the way that alchemy has changed of like the translation of it. Now it's just like, oh, like I'm an alchemist because I do this with breath work and stuff like that. And like more power to the people that do perceive their breath work. In a way, I would still perceive the things I'm doing as alchemy. Yes. But
I think I see it. I think it's like,
I just relate to the art, where it really originated and what. And like, for example, one of my mentors said he had one experience with this one guy that he met. He was living in the woods. He was like anywhere from 80 to 90 years old. And he had the vitality of a 20-year-old. He said, this guy, he's like, I've never seen something like this. This guy was living in the woods and he was working with all this herbal medicine and alchemical processes and stuff. And he was just like, whoa, like I know nothing. Like how this guy, perhaps was an alchemist. Cause I just related to the art, but I more learned to now in a way also accept the modernization of it.
Yeah, I had an idea of why it is this way and why you're kind of referring that to alchemy. And I think it's because I think it's a direct reflection of people that are the alchemists are basically people that have been able to keep a certain ideology of the world going the way it is. And that's because they are literally creating that. That's what alchemy is. So the people that are like that alchemist it's literally right now basically the people that are in the negative direction are the alchemists. But I think as things are rhythmic, right? The alchemists that lost their way, the alchemists that were losing that battle, that moment in time, are now regaining their ability to communicate with art. And there are going to be a lot more creators and artists coming through because we're literally just shifting out of that time. It's like that yin and yang.
Yeah.
Alchemists we are all alchemists. Yeah. But we're just not like, it's just either one direction is going or another.
Yeah. I do think it's good to like evolve with the term the more I realize too. Yeah. I just think of like, oh, I'm trying to go masters to some degree. Like, what are these people doing? Like it's like,
that's funny.
Because in a way, if you're manifesting anything, we're always manifesting something that is transmutation, that is alchemy.
Yeah.
And like we said, through art, the artists nowadays, it's even music, there's words into it, and it's not just imagery. it's like, how is it being deciphered? How is someone else receiving it and then transmuting it and manifesting, from that place? Like we talked about listening to music, and if something aligns with our values, like how does that push us to do something over another? Like that song that you like that I heard that we did the Copeland's like, I gotta do better. I gotta do better. Yeah. It's like, what does that mean to you? Is that a manifestation? Is that manifesting you to create from a place of like to do better?
Shit, I didn't even think of that. Because that's what mine was. It was like, of course, it's like, I gotta do better for like in a good way.
Yeah.
But people could probably be like that pitiful, guilty, like negative way.
Yeah, it's like, oh, like why do I have to do better? People are always going to perceive it differently and going to transmute it differently.
This is where the context of the art makes the difference for people's ability to interpret it.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I wrote Cold Plunge on there with the check and all the homies. So people are like, this is positive.
Yeah.
So they have more of an incentive and an understanding of what you're trying to communicate.
Yeah.
And that's the true alchemy, is combining both the external and the internal world. Right? So it's again, you gotta live in both these worlds, because if we're gonna be alchemists, we're living in all of these and pushing and creating in all of these realms.
Yeah.
At once.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think, I don't like how I perceived it as like bastardized too much, because that's just like the art, but the art always has to evolve. It just the process with it. The processes are more valuable than the substances too. For example, like creating those spagyric tinctures, that is herbal alchemy, because comparatively to like normal tinctures, you just extracting the spirit of the plant. Now you're getting the spirit, soul, and the body of the plant. So the three alchemical principles are salt, mercury, and sulfur. And now you're putting that into this full spectrum plant medicine. You're bringing the body back into it. You're bringing the soul back into it.
How does one split the body, spirit, and the soul in these plants, and how does that it's salt, mercury, and sulfur, but like, what does that really mean?
So when you're doing a normal tincture that's like ethanol based, the extraction is the mercury. And you're also extracting some of the soul of the plant, our souls are volatile, and that relates to volatile oils, plants that have,
What does that mean?
So our souls are just like infinite in a way, to a degree, and can go from one realm to another. Once we die, they may stay somewhere, it goes somewhere. It's interesting.
That's what volatile means? Infinite?
No, I'm just relating it in my own aspect. But volatile is just like strong, I guess. It's strong. There's a sense of like
momentum.
Yeah, momentum. Yeah.
Well, something I heard recently was that like different coins, crypto coins, were volatile.
Yeah.
For example, Trump just dropped a coin that's a volatile thing because it's got so much momentum, but it can go in so many directions.
Yeah.
It's a big risk.
Yeah.
And I think what artists do is they kind of live in that state of risk. It's like,
yeah.
And that's momentum. That's us living with our soul.
Yeah.
Because the soul is volatile. It's whatever you said, salt, sulfur.
Yeah.
Is volatile.
Yeah, so, no, I agree. And then even relating that back to plants, right? Since it's been volatile, it could come up, it could fall. So like a lot of plants have what's called these aromatic volatile oils in them. And when you're cooking with them, they'll go up into the air. Their souls will evaporate off. And that's where a lot of their medicine is held in their body. A lot of their medicine is held within their volatility.
So that's why raw food, like if you were to eat a pepper without cooking it, you would have more soul in it?
Not necessarily, because then you break it back down to like chemistry again. of just like bioavailability of like tomatoes, and they were all, more leucine will come out in tomatoes. Or is it leucine? I don't think it's leucine. That's the amino acid. Maybe it's specific compound in tomatoes will come out more when you cook them. Same with spinach. The iron in spinach is not bioavailable raw. It's only bioavailable if you cook it. So, but people's bodies are different. Body chemistries are different. So someone may be able to break down the iron better eating it raw.
That's why I'm so excited for where technology can go with like being able to understand our bodies and our DNA and our gene expressions better. Because oh my gosh, I'm telling you, with AI being implemented into like just scientific research now, our ability to just like collect data and create output is just going so much faster. And what that means is just we're just like moving faster because that's volatility. That's like just fast momentum. Yeah. So that's what we're going into is like this age of information. It's just like we're going quicker, things are accelerating, and that is growth. Yeah. In whatever direction.
I agree. We have those three principles too, because like we have our soul and we have our spirit and we have our physical body too. And plants have that as well. And animals have that. With the plants, the goal is to like extract them and cohabit them together to create to rebirth the whole medicine.
That's why.
Yeah. It's hard to go in depth to it because like the old alchemists, they were explaining through art.
I was gonna say, I feel like it's so intuitive.
It's very intuitive.
It's so intuitive.
It's like, very intuitive.
It's way more intellectual because it's more of your spirit. Your spirit knows the alchemy,
And the processes, like I said, they're greater than the substance, and that's something my mentor told me, and I really reflected upon that. Of like, those spagyric tinctures take 11 weeks to make, so it's really about like alchemy is really about patience at the end of the day, and then the processes of doing it, especially with these tinctures, because it's not just like, all right, 6 weeks are up, let me just strain it. There's my tincture. No, now it's like, I gotta get a propane tank. I gotta light this thing on fire. I gotta like let it burn and let it calcinate into ash and make sure it's a specific color and like intuitively tell when this is done. Now, without any instruments, just be like, okay, that ash is done. And now I gotta take a volatile substance and extract what's called salts, plant salt from the ash. And like, be like, okay, I gotta be patient doing this. Make sure I'm wearing gloves. If I touch my eyes with this, I could go blind.
Really?
Yeah. The plant salts, it's especially
like a poison?
No, it's just, it's almost like lye. You know what lye is? So it's just like a chemical basically. And it gets altered though. It gets altered and you cohabate it back with the original menstruum. And you're rebirthing the plant body. And
so it is poison? No.
Like, it's volatile enough to be poison, yes. To be I wouldn't call it poison though. It's just volatile. And it could hurt you if you just if you don't respect it. Yes, it's momentum. That's really what it is. It's vibrating like so fast. This plant material probably,
right?
To where it's like, watch out.
Like, can you hold that frequency?
Yeah, and it's also like you need to like rebirth me and then bring me back to my original home. Because this is now just like body without spirit and soul. Well, it still is volatile because now, but it's just like an empty vessel to where like it can do whatever it wants. Well, it has no rules now. It has so and then you that liquid substance then is put into a petri dish. I forget Petri dish. Pyrex. And then you're putting it in the oven, and it's going to take anywhere from like 6 to like 15 hours for that thing to evaporate.
Is Pirates the purple one?
No, it's just a specific glassware. And then you get these salts, and they form these fractal patterns of resembling like the planet too, and these salts.
Are there images of that?
I have a lot of photos of them. Like for the first one I ever did was dandelion root. And when you take a dandelion root and you cut it, it has a specific spiral factor, and I rebirthed it in the salt, and it's the same exact thing.
You know about sacred geometry?
Yeah, it is sacred geometry. Exactly, that's what it is. It's
like so pure.
Yeah, and when I pulled it out of the oven, I felt this thing like communicating. It was like, "Hi, like I'm back." You know? Yeah, I'm back, but like in a higher form. Bring me home. Bring me back to my spirit and soul. Because that's
how you feel about it?
That's how I felt about it, because like that salt is still like, if you can't touch your eye with it too. So you have to bring it back to the plant's spirit, and bring it back to its soul that's like in its mestrum. So you like scrape it up, you heat it up a little, and then you put it back into like that original tincture. And then there's a whole different philosophy, the old alchemical ways, where you're exposing it in like 40 days and 40 nights to the sun and darkness. And you want them to turn a specific color, they're all going to develop a tint to them.
This is just like an insane practice of intention.
Yeah.
And you're literally putting energy into something.
Yeah.
You're like, that's just intention, and you're storing that energy into something. And it has to be used with that same amount of intention to really push you in that direction. Yeah, they're really potent too. So like a spagyric tincture, you don't need as much as like a normal tincture. And it's said because you're incorporating, spirit and soul more, and you're so more intentional about it, and you're separating the parts of this plant now. It's very suggestible. So like, I have something in the oven, if I'm just being like, oh, this is so taking forever, like fuck this plant, like my energy's just gonna go onto it. Rather I would do sound bowl and just like sit in front of it and just like talk with it. Whoa. This is you do? I've done that, yeah. I've done that plenty of times. Sometimes like I'd be like, okay, it's just in the oven. I got, it's gonna take 10 plus hours. Like, because you want to slowly evaluate it all. That's how I feel with my art. So like the amount, the exact energy you're putting into that, like your spagyrics. That's me and my art, and I think that's you with your art. It's art, You have to be intentional with it, and no matter what your message is, people are always intentional. We always have intentions, whether they're coming from a place of like on the surface purity, or like we said, it's like a deeper seated thing. We don't even realize that it's creating this intention. How has boxing shaped your perspective on discipline and alchemy? Well, one, it's made me healthier. Because it's also forced me to like show myself more self-love too, and take care of my body and mind and spirit, soul way more. Because it's high intensity. I'm getting punched. Yeah. When I'm doing like impact and getting punched in the stomach after like 7 rounds of abs with 3 minutes. It's a lot. It's all for my body. I'm able to handle it now. You create this mental fortitude. But I come home and I'm like applying that herbal body butter on myself, nourishing myself using bioavailable supplements that are going to modulate inflammation and all that. But it's actually made me feel safer in my life. And it's weird too, because like boxing, it's like a dangerous sport. I view it as elegant until violent. It's like a dance.
And it's really an art. It's mixed martial arts.
Let's love elegant until
It's
violent.
elegant until violence. Yeah, it's elegant until violence. And I grew up playing sports, and I was deemed like a student athlete and all that. I look back at that and be like, I was not an athlete back then. I did not have the flexibility I have now, the movement I have now. But that's because I was also attached to things. I was attached to, the outcomes in baseball and all that. And I'm so detached from whatever happens on my boxing journey. Sure, am I working towards specific things in it? Yeah. But I'm so detached from it, and I have so much fun in it by myself, flow in it, create this mental fortitude, and feel safe and healthy doing it.
Yeah.
Because I know with the knowledge and wisdom I've already obtained through my herbal practices, it's like one, like that very much helps and gives me an advantage on some other people, just because they don't know how to adapt in that situation. If they're getting punched, maybe just like ice packs and stuff like that, and just very elementary.
Right.
But like I said, it's made me feel safer too, and actually regulate my nervous system more. Because in order to be a good boxer, you have to have a regulated nervous system. You have to be relaxed. You have to be relaxed, but also be able to tense your core and feel safe in that ring. Like, cause that's how I perceived it. Because when I first started, I was very tense in the shoulders, and you can't just punch in the shoulders to begin with, but, a lot of it comes from your whole body, hips, torque. But once you feel relaxed, like that's when you just become muscle memory, flow state. And if you can then condition your body to feel safe and create mental fortitude, like it's just like this
pure state of creation. That's art.
Yeah.
That's the essence of art.
And it's been a very like alchemical process for me too, of like venturing into doing things that I want to do. For example, joining a boxing gym, I immediately thought to myself, wow, that's like uncomfortable. What is it going to be like? And to just do that was like that was just like the initial maceration.
Initiation.
That was the initiation. It was yeah. And becoming comfortable with what's uncomfortable.
Got you. Yeah, I know that ended abruptly, but hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Peace.